Bodies start to ache at around 4:30 in the afternoon, our early morning enthusiasm replaced by muscle spasms in extremities we've neglected for far too long now. We should be relieved the track goes cold at 5 p.m. excited even by the thought of rest. And yet we aren't. Fuel still sloshes about their containers, tires have life left in them, and we collectively want more laps around the track, more time on each bike, and more of everything that comes with riding a sport bike full tilt around a fast, flowing racetrack like Buttonvillo Raceway. Good motorcycles make you feel as if no track day is long enough or no destination far enough away. With us are 4 truly exceptional motorcycles. There's a semblance of similarity between the bikes we've brought with us to Buttonvillo, with only Ducati's 2016 959 Panigale suggesting something is at odds. The rest, Aprilia's RSV4 RR, Kawasaki's all-new Zx-10r, and Yamaha's Yzf R1, are all built with the intention of winning races, shattering lap records, filling podiums the world over, and pulling on the heartstrings of the power-hungry enthusiast. Consider this test then an opportunity to see which pulls the hardest, how the latest litter bikes from Aprilia and Kawasaki stack up to a derivative of last year's Superbike shootout winner, the R1M, and how Ducati's largest ever middleweight compares to the not all that much bigger competition. Consider it also something no amount of muscle spasms could convince us to cut short. Body aches and sunsets be damned. We have throttles to twist. 2016 Ducati 959 Panigale. Of all the bikes, Ducati's 959 Panigale plays the nicest with our battered bodies. At 420 pounds, it's not the lightest bike here and actually weighs 4 pounds more than the lightest bike of the lot, Yamaha's R1. It flicks from side to side with the prepotency of a middleweight though, its lightweight handling and lower power output making longer stints at the track feel like less a burden. Unlike its bigger brother, you ride it. It doesn't ride you. A lot of people will appreciate that. After a full day spent in the saddle of bikes that find joy in plucking your arms from their sockets, we certainly do. The chassis is still unique in regard to feel and feedback, but with the suspension set up as desired you can push the bike harder, playing up its strengths by flicking it from one side to the next in rapid succession. More than once, a 959 mounted test rider would roll up on the Kawasaki Zx-10r or Yamaha R1 in Buttonvillo's tight S's section and win back every inch he'd lost on the long back straight. 2016 Kawasaki Zx-10r jumping from Ducati's 959 Panigale to Kawasaki Zx-10r requires a mental recalibration of sorts. The throttle is still on the right, the clutch on your left, and footpegs up to just about your derriere. But this isn't the same motorcycle. It's wider at its hips, longer, and you sit in it versus on it. In a category now dominated by narrow waistlines, crossplan cranks, V4 seconds, and V-twins, the Kawasaki is now, in a way, the misfit. Compared to its predecessor, it's also better. More refined. As if Kawasaki perfectly isolated each and every wrinkle in that bike's previously imperfect canvas and ironed it out. Guest tester Sean McDonnell says, "I couldn't get the previous Zx-10r to steer, but this one I can." Credit the updated crank and suspension here, the former being a change we didn't expect anyone but Tom Sykes or Jonathan Rea to feel but did. 2016 Aprilia RSV4 RR opposite the smooth and almost seamless Kawasaki is Aprilia's RSV4 RR, which has always been, and continues to be, a motorcycle that you connect with on more of an emotional level, one that, with every tap of the starter and every blip of the throttle, you fall a little more in love with. It evokes happiness, as a motorcycle should. Smitten by the Panigale's looks, Sean McDonnell argues that it isn't special enough, but every other tester argues he's crazy. The RSV4 is not one of those bikes you fall out of love with the second a road tightens up either, or the instant a commute turns longer than expected. It's comfortable for taller and shorter riders alike. The repositioned for 2016 clip-ons set up in a way that makes them easy to reach, and the rock-hard seat-shaped so that it enables you to rack miles up in relative comfort, especially when compared to the saddle on the R1. 2016 Yamaha Yzf R1. The Aprilia's biggest competition comes in the form of Yamaha's R1, a bike that, in this test, instilled the most confidence in everyone from self-proclaimed track-riding rookies to seasoned experts. It makes good power but not in an alarming manner. It steers quickly but isn't twitchy. And its electronics step in but are careful not to neuter the experience. A long list of attributes conspire to make the bike so confidence-inspiring, starting with the chassis, which is balanced and offers exceptional feedback at full lean. Brakes are strong as well, and while the system offers slightly less feel when compared to the M50 setup on the Kawasaki and Aprilia, there's little lost as you slip past trackside brake markers. Meanwhile, the suspension is easy to dial in, with the stock settings being so good that few to no setting adjustments are required before going out and turning quick laps at the track. Final thoughts at the end of the test. Conversation turns back to special, and testers agree that the R1 is special enough. Some base that on looks, others on bark, and the rest on sheer performance. They've all agreed it has its own faults, but it is the best bike of the lot, and all for different reasons. The rest of the bikes have advantages of their own. The Kawasaki, for example, has that screamer of an engine that's fun in its own way and would likely make for a great race bike. The Ducati, meanwhile, would be perfect for that guy who wants something more than a 600 but less than a 1000, and the Aprilia for those who want their ride to be slightly more of an emotional experience. You could fall in love with any. We've just fallen in love harder with the R1, an exceptional motorcycle that truly makes you wish your ride would never come to an end. Which is why it's now 4:55 p.m. and we're heading out for one last session.